Hi, this is Dave Schipper, and tonight I'm talking to Chaislyn, and she's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and almost said Minnesota. And we're talking tonight about the Great River Folk Fest songwriting contest. And you are a wonderful finalist, one of our 12 finalists. Thank you very much for submitting all throughout the contest. We're a spirit for us. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Chaislyn. I'm 20 years old and I am a college student. I just finished my first year at the University of Southern Mississippi.
Cool.
And I'm also a singer-songwriter and I stream on Twitch as well. I stream music live there.
Oh, I'm an old guy. I have no idea what Twitch is, but I do know some people have told me about it. So they do some gaming on there at Twitch too, don't they?
They do. Since I've been recovering from my tonsillectomy earlier this summer, I've actually started doing some games on there as well, and that's been fun. But no, I found that after the pandemic, trying to find a way to continue sharing my music and doing what I love, and I've fallen in love with it. It's been really an awesome experience.
Well, that's good. I'm glad for you. Um, and you were a wonderful musician. And I remember something with American Idol. Were you a contestant there for a second or two or?
I was for like a day.
Oh, well,
No,
that's cool. That's more than I
I
have.
was 16. It
Wow.
was about 4 years ago, and I had gotten an email. I completely thought it was a scam. By the way, I didn't respond for like a couple weeks,
Sure.
and then I was like, maybe I should look more into this. And turned out to be real. I auditioned. I got to meet the celebrity judges.
Hmm.
Got the golden ticket. Flew to Hollywood. Competed. Got cut, and none of it aired on television.
Oh.
It was
Wait,
something
you
for
know,
sure.
I do book house concerts, and I've been doing that since 2008. And I was so tickled pink to once have a American Idol person at my house. That was Emily Earl,
Oh, oh,
Steve Earl's cousin, and she was on. Didn't last very long either. So, but she was wonderful, and she still is. I love Emily Earl. So let's just jump into the Great River Folksinger Factoid Survey.
all right.
this is this was something, last year we talked to all the finalists, and this year we said, hey, in kind of like a Stephen Colbert questionnaire, let's come up with something that's always the same for everybody and see how it all shakes out. And who knows if I'm going to write something interesting after this about this, but I do know after I did 6 of them, I did pen a little interesting article about it. Okay, so have you ever been to La Crosse, Wisconsin?
I have not.
Okay. So have you ever been to the Rhine River?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked that is I guess we look really similar. The Mississippi River and the bluffs look very comparable to the Rhine River. No
Hmm.
castles, but so then you've never heard of the giant 6-pack we have at downtown La Crosse. But now Dave's
Okay.
Guitar Shop is a kind of a national gem for us out of La Crosse. He actually has a guitar shop that at one point in the internet experience, he would post his new guitars, and people in Japan would stay up at 4 o'clock in the morning to see what he posted. Isn't
Oh
that
my
amazing?
goodness.
Yeah, and if you get, and you should get to La Crosse someday, because we all want to meet you now that we know you. Uh, he's got an upstairs that's just phenomenal with history and guitars. And I've had a house concert guests that go there and just, they have said, because they travel the nation, that they haven't seen a guitar shop anywhere in the nation like Dave's Guitar Shop. That's why I
Wow.
bring it up.
I'm a sucker for a good
Yeah,
music
so
shop.
yeah,
So,
so stop up. You make your way to La Crosse, Wisconsin. It's beautiful. Okay, let's go into the legend quiz.
oh no.
John Dill, John Dylan, Bob Dylan, or John Prine?
Bob Dylan.
Oh, okay.
I have
Joni
to.
Mitchell or Carole King?
This one hurts me physically to think about because Joni Mitchell is such an inspiration to me. But Carole King, I have said for years, is my number one artist of all time. It's a hard choice to make, but I absolutely adore her.
Well, you have such pop centric tastes that she could write a song. She could write a
She
song. And
really
don't
could.
get me wrong, I love both of them. I love all these people I'm asking you about. Robert Cray or BB King,
BB King.
uh, Brandy Carlisle or Jillian Welch.
It's gonna be Brandy Carlisle for me. It's so hard to choose though. I feel like
I
it's a
know,
crime.
you know, and I'm going to step back again, thinking, yeah, you would be a Brandy Carlisle girl. The way that you come across with your music, I would think Brandy. And
I'm honored.
I was lucky to see Brandy. I have never seen Jillian, but I've listened to her music over and over. Okay, so you're fairly young at writing, but you started early, right?
Yes. Yes, I wrote my first song actually after American Idol. I had met so many awesome people, other contestants, producers, and everything during the experience. And the one question that I ran into more than anything was, "Do you write your own music?" And every time I was like, no. And there were so many opportunities that I was, missing out on. And so I was like, I don't know. So I came home and sat down. I was like, I guess I'll give it my best shot and just see what happens. And I wrote a song called Little Did I Know, which I ended up submitting for the contest this past couple weeks, and fell in love with it. I think in about the span of an hour I had written the song, and it was almost an out of body experience.
Sure.
I don't even really remember writing it, but it was all it took for me to know that it was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
So when you write, is it a morning? Is it midday, evening when the muse hits you? Do you try to schedule it?
Um, so I've tried a couple different things. I've been at it for about 3.5 years now, I guess. And I ended up actually wrote a song last night at midnight to 1 a.m. And that tends to be the time for me. When all my lights are off in my room, I sit in my bed and I'll grab my guitar and just kind of see. I think at that point, I'm so tired after such a long day that I can't overthink. And so I think I get the most raw emotions at that time. But I also kind of just love to force myself to try new things, try and wake up early, try and make it a discipline as well as something that's off of inspiration.
So have you worked with prompts or do you?
I've tried. I loved English. I loved English class in high school, and I wanted to be an English major for a while. That didn't happen. But I loved the journal prompts that we were given at the beginning of class, and so I've tried to replicate that. It has not proven super successful yet, but I'm not opposed to trying again.
Well, I've heard it's exercise. Well, I've heard it's exercise. I've dabbled myself, so it is exercise when you're exercising. It's how many of us give up on our gym classes, right? So if we can continue to do that, maybe it would be the best thing in the world. But okay, so you're a youngster, paper, computer, something else. How do you write?
My cell phone,
Yeah, okay.
which
Dictation then?
it feels wrong to say that I use my cell phone. I feel like it's a cheating kind of thing, but
No.
the notes app on my phone, I always have it with me, and I think that's what makes it so versatile. But I do have a notebook that I try to transfer everything over to, just in case technology can be whack and it can stop working and it can delete things, and I'd hate to lose all of the drafts and ideas that I have written down in my phone. So
Yeah, you got to back that up.
yes.
Don't always rely on the cloud, even though they say you can. But uh, um, so now, what song of yours would you frame on your wall? The lyrics of what
That's a
is
hard question.
what are you most proud of? Well, not proud of because it could be one that's so unique that says, this one's got to go on the wall.
Yeah, it's such a hard one, especially for someone like me. I'm still so new into writing, but at the
Sure.
same time, I have close to 70 songs, at
Yep.
this point, and so choosing one is really hard. But believe it or not, I wrote a song which is one of the two, the one that I submitted for consideration, called "Raise Herself," and in it, the chorus is the Lord's Prayer, which was something that I've grown up in church, and my faith is very
Sure.
important to me, and I grew up saying that prayer, and it got me through a lot of hard times. And after I wrote that song, we were planning a music video, which got shut down production because of COVID.
Mhm.
But I was shopping for props and found a framed Lord's Prayer with a little girl praying it, which the song is about a little girl and how the prayer helps her through her hard life. And so I actually have it. I think it's in my room, framed, the lyrics of the Lord's Prayer, which is the chorus of my song.
Oh, yeah, and I thought would give you kudos for picking that one, because one of the things that we'll ask the judges is pick originality, and they might look at it and say, well, she kind of stole the Lord's Prayer. But I think it's the unique way of using it and the originality of it.
Thank you. Yeah,
So
no, it
I'm not going to tell you that they'll judge you harshly for the Lord's Prayer.
they might, and risks pay off or they don't. But that song, I have a lot of friends who relate to it, and my heart goes out to them for anyone who can relate to that song. And so this is just something that I really wanted to put out there. It's something really important to me.
Well, one of the songs that still can bring a tear to my eye is Randy Travis's "Raise You Up." It's like, you know, it's like, and we all aspire to write something like that.
Right.
There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, what color frame would you put it in? Where would you hang this?
Okay. Well,
Right.
since I do
Okay.
have one that is, since I do have one that is framed, I will tell you that it is a dusty rose pink color, which I think actually fits perfectly. It was such a sign to me whenever I picked it up. We were in a thrift store. I was just looking at what they had, and it just stuck out. But it's a dusty pink color paper in a gold frame. And where would I hang it? Well, it's in my bedroom.
Yeah, that's good enough.
um,
It's inspiration, huh?
yes.
Okay, now your young life of writing. Who is your writing coach that you'd like to thank?
Goodness. So I've never actually taken a writing class.
Mhm.
And I've been to so many incredible workshops, whether they be at festivals or, different things in the area. And I've met so many incredible people who have taught me a lot.
Mhm.
But I would actually say the person who has had the biggest effect on me in my writing is my mom, believe it or not. I love my mom and my dad. They're my best friends. They're so supportive of what I choose to do and the career path that I've chosen to follow. My mom wrote a lot of poetry in high school and in her early 20s. She has a binder full of poems and all this beautiful writing, which inspired me so much when I first started and still to this day. But she's also the first person that I show any new song to. I
Oh,
went to her yesterday and I was like, how does this sound? What do you think? What's your opinion?
yep.
And she gives it to me brutally honest in the kindest way possible. But I credit her with being the reason why, I do as well as I do, because
Yep.
she never settles for less.
I don't think there's any doubt that your mom is your coach, and that is wonderful. Have you ever thought about digging into her poetry and taking some pieces out?
I haven't ever performed any of the things that I've written with, but I do have a couple of songs that I've penned using some of her lyrics as inspiration.
That's wonderful. All right. 7 words you would tell your 10-year-old self.
I have to count. I chose music as a major because I had already taken one college credit in high school and it was math, and you don't need more than one college credit as math. So I was like, I'm done. But I would say, hold on, I'm counting. Okay. 7 words. Listen to constructive criticism, ignore the hate. Was that 7? I think that was
It's
7.
close enough. Yeah, I've
Close
never.
enough.
I'm not good to go back and count the words. Um, and you know what? Continue with that path, because that is where you're headed. And you are a bright shining star. There's no
Thank you.
doubt about that. Who knows where your future will lead you? Could be Christian music. Have you thought much about that? Because you do have a Christian background.
I do. It's been a topic of conversation that comes up, quite frequently, because my faith is an incredibly important thing to me. But I also don't want to ever be put in a box. I love being
Yeah,
able to experiment and try new things, but my faith and my beliefs and my morals will always, at the end of the day, come through what I do.
I would recommend to you because I find myself a Christian and it's and it has nothing to do with my music, even though I do write some occasional Christian music. The two people I have just admired in my past, number one in the folk tradition, Pierce Pettis. You may want to look him up.
I love to.
He's from Alabama, and he wrote one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear. I've Got a Hope. Okay, and he's played our folk fest, and then who's covered that song was Carolyn Aarons from Canada, and she does not play in my mind what would be the classic Christian music you'd find on your radio. She writes stories, she writes, she seems to weave things together in great songs. So if you do anything, look up those two, from a
Love
standpoint of
to.
influences. um so, any other questions you have about the Great River Folk Fest? What you're in the middle of? Where we're headed?
I mean, I don't believe I have any questions, but I would just like to thank you and everyone who's been a part of putting it on. It's been a rough year, not only with COVID, but just for me with my health and everything. But it's been a really big shining light in a lot of darkness. So thank you guys so
All
much.
right. Well, we love to see your posts all the time. And you have some very interesting ones. So the rose petals and everything else.
Yes, that was a fun one. That was a fun one.
Right. And all I can tell you is the final judges will work on it. They're starting to come in. They're looking at the 24 songs. They're doing their due diligence, and we'll pick some people. And all of you, 12 people, were just awesome. And the next 12 were incredible as well. So what we've done is connected. So somewhere along the line, you might be up here, even if you don't win, and we're going to connect with you. So,
I would love that
and
so much.
I can't imagine not following you. And remember, somewhere along the line, you have to put your music on Bandcamp. Otherwise, a old fart like me is not going to buy it.
Yes, it's on the list, I promise. It's been a crazy few months, but I will. I
I,
really will.
I'm patient. I'm very patient. So I'll
A
follow.
good quality.
Yes. Well, why don't we end it right now? It'll stop recording, and then we can maybe say a few things afterwards. How's that?